As you see here, they've captured in the growth for the coming year about 6 different markets. And it's interesting because as we were reviewing the report, it's amazing how through our own expertise and our own teaming, we actually end up investing in a lot of the growth areas. For example, the first one is Leo constellations. And they see that there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth, and a lot of appetite for these constellations, either in telecom or Earth observation. Everyone knows about SpaceX and their internet capability in space. But this Earth observation, being able to look at the Earth, be able to understand what's going on, is, as you heard from Lunasan, its mission. And they're looking to put a constellation up there in space to be able to provide this continuous monitoring of the Earth and to be able to map underneath the surface. So one great growth area is that. The second one is these constellations continue to grow. As these constellations are populating up in space, they are going to need servicing of those vehicles. They're going to need servicing of the growing constellation capabilities in space. They see it, things to be able to extend the life of large satellites, or to be able to big hot topic, and still looking at is how do you remove debris and provide in-space transportation between various orbits and to go to the moon. And then how do you extend the sustainability of this growing ecosystem? And as you heard from Rogue Space, that's what their focus is in order to be able to help that growing ecosystem out there, to be able to help participate in the removing of debris up there, and to be able to partner up with other organizations to be able to take advantage of those assets up there, to be able to continue to grow the ecosystem in space. And then, from my own background at NASA for 32 years, and still a love of mine, is the growth of human spaceflight. And we saw last year the inspiration that got me to NASA, Star Trek, William Shatner, going up into space at the age of 90. And we're just going to see more and more of that on Virgin Galactic and on Blue Origin and Axiom with their commercial astronauts, and eventually soon with their commercial space station. That's just going to continue to grow. And as they do, there'll be needs to be able to support these different tourists that go up into space. No longer do you have astronauts that have gone through a rigorous medical screening to be able to make sure that they can sustain the conditions in space. Now we're going to have a very different community, and more startups will be needed to be able to support the different community that will find themselves in space and on the lunar surface. And then for those that aren't familiar with exploration activity, you had heard from Lone Star, their activity with Intuitive Machines, that is sort of part of the overall Artemis mission. Artemis including the commercial lunar payload system, and the NASA's Artemis mission is being able to help to go to the moon and be able to understand how to have extended presence and life on the moon. And what's wonderful about that program is the international aspect of it. And Stellar Capital is plugged into that international community, because NASA is continuing to extend the Artemis Accord to European nations, to South American nations, including Brazil, all of these, to be able to ensure that the moon is a place for international cooperation and benefit. And so we see that as an opportunity. And as the more that they provide resources there, the more opportunities for startups to be able to support them. And then when it comes to small satellite launch, it is something that they're seeing a growing trend on. They're seeing an opportunity for that. Now that it's getting to the point where even colleges and high schoolers can get their own launches because of the price point that's coming down, there is going to be a huge opportunity for new CubeSats and new capabilities. And as you heard earlier, Aphelion is perfectly poised for that, to be able to support that market, to be able to provide CubeSats into space and to be able to provide it on demand anywhere in the world. And then finally, the last area of growth that they see as a potential is national security. And in national security, they see a growing demand for on-demand launches of small capabilities, small launches, which is Aphelion. They see an on-demand need for capabilities that Seldor is supporting from foreign governments. They're looking for investments that are happening within the U.S. to support the needs of countries all around the globe. And so Seldor, with its relationships and its connection, is uniquely poised to be able to support those needs of other nations with the team and the capabilities and the resources that we have here in the U.S. And then finally, as a teaser for the conversation that we have later on this afternoon, the lunar ecosystem. This is, for me, on the next slide, the exciting portion of all that's going on. With everything that we shared and the growth of these three groups of entrepreneurs, on Earth, in orbit, and space spinoff, seeing them all coming together to be able to grow this ecosystem, we're seeing something phenomenal happen on the moon. We're seeing, as you'll hear in a few moments, the co-creation of an ecosystem. So as was mentioned earlier by Chris, you have entrepreneurs. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. And space spinoff. I'm sorry about that. We see the co-creation, as Chris had mentioned earlier. He's providing a backup storage system on the moon. But in parallel to that, you have Intuitive Machines that are providing the launch systems to be able to deliver payloads to the moon. In parallel to that, we have another company that we're in conversation with, Lunar Outpost, building a robotic system that will be going on that same mission to the moon in December. At the same time that Lunar Outpost is delivering payloads from Nokia Bell Labs that is building a communication system on the moon. And another company is providing solar power generation beaming from above the moon to the moon surface. Another one is providing additional edge computing. So all of these startups are all building capabilities simultaneously, not waiting for one to develop it before they move on. Lone Star isn't waiting for a power system to be able to be in place to be able to continue on the growth of his company. It's going on while other things are happening in parallel. And just in the next 2 years, there are already 7 missions planned between Intuitive Machines, Astrobotics, and other partners to go to the moon. So between the co-creation, the inventiveness, the vision of all of these startups, the moon is going to explode. And not in the Space 1999 way, but in a way that allows opportunities for investments and growth. And what I love finally on this lunar ecosystem is that it departs from what NASA had always said. NASA has seen the moon as a launching place to go to Mars. For the entrepreneurs that we're supporting, for the entrepreneurs that you'll hear from in a little while, there is a real business reason to go to the moon. There's a real market. There's real money to be made to be able to support both the industry back here on Earth and industry that's going to be growing on the moon. And because of their capabilities, it's going to draw and going to bring more people to the lunar surface and to be able to grow the community there. So the next couple of years is a phenomenally exciting time in the space community. And what I love is that Seldor is right smack dab in the middle with all the networks and relationship to see the mushrooming of this space ecosystem. And so